precious nutrients and minerals. These elements, when combined with sunlight, create the diverse living systems of our planet. One of those living systems is the rainforest, home to the most amazing concentration of life on our planet. These dense and beautiful forests cover only a tiny portion of the Earth's surface, but they contain more than half of its plant and animal species. Rainforests are also extremely rich and productive living systems, providing us with oxygen, food, medicines. In the desert, nature has created a very different, but no less beautiful living system. And while this arid landscape may seem lifeless, it is very much alive. The plants add what little water they can find and avoid the scorching rays of the relentless sun. The American prairie once appeared as desolate as the desert, but over time, rainwater and nutrients gradually penetrated the hard surface of this land. Even the hooves of the mighty buffalo helped create the rich soil that would one day become home to the American farm.
That's rice.
Of all the forces at work on the land, humans have had for a growing world led to the enormous use, and sometimes overuse, of the land. In our search for more efficient ways to grow food, we often fail to realize the impact of our methods.
Getting water.
We're learning to live with the land, discovering better ways to grow food that will assure both human and environmental well-being. In farmlands across America, we can enrich the soil without the use of chemicals. In Saudi Arabia and Mexico, we're learning to produce food on desert seacoasts by developing and planting crops that thrive on saltwater. Here at EPCOT, we're learning to reduce the need for pesticides by using natural predators like ladybugs and wasps to control pests. In Japan, we're learning to find answers are being discovered just ahead.
My name is Rick. I work here at the lab. In our living laboratory, scientists from the Department of Agriculture and crops that once were overlooked may now be able to help feed a hungry world. Today's global village truly needs a global grocer. As part of our Salute to International Crops celebration at the land, we're going to be pointing out some important crops along the way. For half of the world's population, while we may think of it as an Asian food, it has done well in adapting to other climates. Some have done well in hot, dry areas, much different than the humid subtropics that originated. Speaking of adapting, we have the native area. Foraging animals. On the left, we have the cassava plant. It's like a potato. It's native from Latin America. It flourishes in drought-like conditions, and this makes it a natural to be. When I mention farming, you probably don't think about fish. But fish farming or aquaculture is an innovative way to feed a hungry world. We have the tilapia and sturgeon areas, and they're very tall. We have the American alligator. It once was an endangered species. Now there are over 1 billion in the state of Florida. They're raised on farms for their meat and their hide. They also play a key role in wetlands conservation. All told, in this aqua cell, we can raise 6,500 pounds of fish each year. 20% of all the fish consumed worldwide are raised in aqua cell. Who knows, someday there may be farms in the ocean, much as we have farms today. Latin America is birthplace to many of the world's most important crops. Ears and tiny kernels, but through centuries of selective breeding, it now means survival to hundreds of millions of people worldwide. You may have noticed that we're growing our crops not in soil, but in sterilized sand. Better use of our natural resources is key to sustainability. It receives all the nutrients and water it needs through the tubing in the sand. Using another innovative growing method, we're growing plants vertical. We can grow more in less space, get better airflow through the plant's leaves. This will make the plants more disease resistant. You get the same effect by growing plants in trellises at home. Asian cooking has crops. One that you may not be familiar with yet would be the wing bean. It's growing. Great source of nutrition, of protein. The entire plant is edible. It's great in stir-fry. They're growing it in over 50 different countries at this time. For those of you who do have gardens, you're probably familiar with pests. Each year, over 1/3 of the world's crops are destroyed by pests. Here at the land, we use integrated pest management. We first grow plants that are more disease-resistant. Second, we release predatory insects on plant-eating pesticides we use by 65%. As we learn more about how plants grow and thrive, moves us closer to trusses, we're using cutting-edge methods to reach that goal. You'll see our squash flying around in the air. It receives all the oxygen it needs as it travels between the mist boxes. Inside the mist boxes, it receives all the nutrients and water it needs. And in this laboratory, we have our EPCOT scientists working with the Department of Agriculture to make crops better. And finally, we're working with NASA to develop crops that can be used in future space colonies by recycling water and oxygen from waste products. There's much that we can learn from science and nature about living with the land. The laboratories that you've seen are only part of the story. Once the crops are harvested, they need to be handled with care as they make their way from field to table. Around the globe, scientists from Nestle and other organizations are dedicated to improving the quality and taste of the foods we've come to know and rely on. Working together, we can preserve the land as a beautiful and precious resource.